Hey everybody, it's Hussein Kabani, your favorite broker. So today, I got another story to tell you guys. What else do you expect? Whenever I have a house that's listed on the market, what I do is not only do we set up this house for success from the beginning, but there's so many steps that we take afterwards to make sure that everything is going well with the listing. There's one in particular that I want to talk to you guys about today. It was a new listing that we put up at the very beginning of 2021. It was in the new Seton community, and there was this townhouse that we listed. It's a previous client of mine, so we've done a lot of business with him already. We have a lot of trust built in over there. What we did was we listed this property at $799,000. And what we were doing is we were holding back offers for about a week. The market at the beginning of the year was incredibly hot. It still kind of is right now. But what ended up happening is that in the first day and a half or so, we ended up getting almost 30 showings on this listing. It looked really nice. The property was great. We had a lot of great feedback on it. And that leads me to, how do you get this feedback? Most brokerages, they actually already send out an automatic email for you, and it basically asks the other agent to basically fill out a questionnaire about what they thought. I would say that on all of them that we send out, we probably get like 2 or 3% reply on this. It's very, very, very low. But what I end up doing is that I actually end up calling all of the individual agents myself. I would call them, and not that there's any problem with the listing or anything else like that. I want to actually know what they thought about the listing. I have a specific way that I will start to engage them and ask them questions about the property to find out what the agent themselves and the client thought about the property. As I'm doing this, I actually get a lot of data. Sometimes I've been able to realize that, hey, people thought that the living room space was too small, so we were able to go back in and reconfigure it if this comment keeps popping up. Or we find out that, hey, in certain homes that we list, that they want a separate living room and a family room. There's not a whole lot that we could do with that unless we had the space to create that space. But at least that feedback that we can give our sellers and let them know that this is what people are thinking about your property. In this particular situation, what ended up happening was that we were holding back offers for a week. We were open to looking at bully offers or preemptive offers. This is when an agent actually sends you an offer before your offer presentation day because they have a strong offer to send you. And it may be tempting enough for you or your seller to basically consider this offer. This is exactly what ended up happening with this listing. So we put up this listing, it looked great. We had a ton of people walk through in about a day and a half. I think it was about 30 showings that we had. And the feedback on it was very positive. What ended up happening was that we received this bully offer. It was an awesome bully offer. I actually called my client first and I said, hey, listen, we have this bully offer. What do you think? Like, do you want to take this or do you want to wait and see what ends up happening? There was a little bit more work and fine-tuning with this offer we needed to do. Overall, the offer was pretty good and it wasn't something that my seller wanted to miss out on. What I ended up doing was that we still had other agents to call. So I started calling these agents. Guys, just to give you a perspective of time, this was about 7:30, 8 o'clock at night now, and we get an offer that basically is irrevocable or expires at 11:30. This is me at 8:30 on the phone calling the rest of these agents and trying to get feedback to see, number one, what they thought about the property, and number two, to let them know that we have another offer to try to see if we could generate another offer coming in so we can kind of play them against each other. While I'm making these phone calls, this is something that hasn't happened to me before, but I ran into 2 agents that ended up coaching me on the deal. And it's not to like say all agents are like this by any means. I deal with so many awesome realtors out there and I have a ton of respect for them as well. Sometimes you do end up running into some of these agents that it just doesn't make any sense. And one of the things, and I don't want to get too deep into it, one of the agents I called and I asked for feedback on the property, and they basically started telling me, oh, you know, there's a bunch of wasted space on this hallway and this and that and whatever. Basically told me that, hey, you must be calling me because you're having trouble selling this property. Well, I've been on the market for a day and a half and I've had about 30 showings, so I think I'm doing pretty good right now. So I just entertained the conversation because I like it sometimes. What ends up happening was that the agent basically tells me, hey, listen, like, I think you got it wrong. You've overpriced this listing at $799. And what I think you should do is you should terminate this listing like right away. And I think that you need to list this listing at $599 or max $625. And if you walk away, what will end up happening here is that then you'll be able to generate multiple offers. I work a lot in Durham and Pickering in particular, and I've been doing this for quite a while. So I was very surprised that this person is giving me advice on how to manage this listing. But what ended up happening was that they told me to basically list this at $599 or $625, and this is the way that I'm going to be able to generate multiple offers on the listing. So I entertained it further, and I basically asked, I said, hey, so you think I should be doing this? And the agent confirmed, yes, you should be doing this. And they basically told me, listen, if you get 625 for this property, then you should take this and run because this is a very good deal. I said, okay, great. So you think I should be selling this property for around 625? They're like, yeah. I was like, great. And then basically they started asking me like, so have you checked the comparable sales in the neighborhood? And I'm thinking to myself, like, how do you get a listing without checking the comparable sales? Of course I have. And I basically told them, hey, the comparable sales have been, $875 and $900,000. At that point, that agent kind of backed off and said, okay, well, you got a lot of showings. These are the comp sales. It's just not for my client. That's what we ended up doing. My problem with this is this. If for some reason this agent got hired, I feel like they weren't educated enough about the neighborhood and they could have short sold this property for about $200,000. We ended up getting $900,000 for this property where someone is telling me to sell this at $675,000 or $700,000. I think that would have been a huge disservice to the client. It was just an interesting night like this that we ended up talking to another agent that basically said, oh, you got an offer, don't push too hard, don't do too much for the client because they won't respect you at the end of it and you don't want to lose out on a good offer. These are the type of feedbacks I ended up getting. It's just weird that it all happened with this one listing. The purpose of this video is that, look, I think that there's, like I said, a lot of good agents out there, but you do run into some of these agents that really don't know what's kind of happening in the market, and I believe that it won't represent the best interest of the client. I would say, hey, do your research, make sure you know who you're dealing with. They can prove that they have been working in the market, that they understand what they're doing, they have a solid marketing plan for you, and just choose your agent wisely because there are about 60,000 agents on the Toronto Real Estate Board. Realistically, there's an 80-20 rule people mention all the time, but in my opinion, and the Toronto Real Estate Board, it's really the 3% versus the 97% rule in the Toronto Real Estate Board. You got to really be careful who you're dealing with and make sure that you get the best representation that you possibly can. All right, guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, I would love to hear comments about this. Like the video, share it with your friends. And until next time, remember one thing, get Kabani, get sold.
Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold. Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold. Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold. Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold.